Hey everybody, I'm here with a question. Do you like westerns? Do you like space? Do you like it when those two things are smushed together in a big neon purple mess? Well, there's this new game called Wild Bastards that you might be interested in. It's a first-person shooter roguelike hybrid from the developers of Void Bastards, which was the B-roll for the Sony video I made a few weeks ago. Before I go any further with this video, I gotta let you know about the shady backroom dealings that I engaged in order to produce this video. Firstly, I did not purchase this game. I was given a code by the marketing firm that works with the publisher or something, as well as a request that I use said code to make a video review of the game. I was given no direction or guidance on what to say, just the code and a copy and paste job of the game's Steam store page. I doubt the guy who emailed me even remembers doing so. I would like to add one more disclaimer before I get into the review, and that is that there will probably be spoilers in this video. Nothing too severe for reasons I'll get into later, but if you're planning on picking this thing up, then you may want to avoid watching the rest of this for now, but please come back at some point. Don't forget about me, please. Alright, now that all that suit and tie shit is out of the way, let's talk about the video game in question, that being the title known as Wild Bastards. Wild Bastards is a first-person shooter and roguelike type deal, or roguelite, I don't even know what the fuck you call these things, that's a spiritual successor to Void Bastards, a cult classic shooter from a few years ago. I'm not super familiar with Void Bastards, I've owned it for a while, but I only actually booted it up and gave it a spin a few weeks ago for some background footage. It's pretty fun though, and I've enjoyed my like 3 hours with it, but the point I'm trying to make is that I'm not intimately familiar with the game that serves as this one's predecessor. I am familiar with it enough though to tell you that this game is absolutely a spiritual successor to Void Bastards, not a sequel. There are several very large differences to the gameplay loop, which I can imagine is something that will be a big disappointment to fans of that aforementioned game about spacefaring fatherless children. Void Bastards was a game that wore its influences on its sleeve, with the gameplay loop and atmosphere clearly being inspired by games like BioShock and especially System Shock. The gameplay loop was sneaking, looting, and surviving against enemies that could often be much more dangerous to you than you to them. Wild Bastards goes in the exact polar opposite direction, trading the slow-paced, exploration-based gameplay for fast-paced firefights that are honestly more reminiscent of something like Hotline Miami. What I mean by that is that the whole thing revolves around a high-risk, high-reward type situation, where most enemies can be killed fairly quickly, but your health bar disappears faster in the government whenever there's a natural disaster. As a result, this gives the gameplay a kind of unique pacing that sort of makes it feel like a classic western, in the sense that there's tense stretches of calm as you size up the area and dial in on enemies, followed by this quick burst of violence where you either kill a shitload of people or die miserably. The second major divergence from Void Bastards is in the nature of the characters that you play as. In the first game, you played as a rotating cast of largely anonymous cannon fodder, a legion of expendable individuals with randomized traits and disadvantages that you were never supposed to get real attached to. In Wild Bastards, though, you've instead got a cast of distinct characters with visually distinctive designs, specifically tuned kits, and sets of advantages and disadvantages that can be expanded upon through leveling up, but not traded out or customized entirely. These two big differences basically mean that while the standard bone structure might be similar, Wild Bastards is ultimately a very different game than what came before, which is probably why it only has a mostly positive score on Steam. Initially, this didn't look too promising to me, since typically speaking, with the way Steam community scores are rated, that basically translates to there's a lot of people who fucking hate this game, so I expected to play something that was either okay or fatally flawed. I fucking love this game. Now, like I said, a lot of people do not like this game, so take most of what I say from here on out with a grain of salt, since this is probably a your mileage may vary type deal, but this shit was like crack cocaine to me. I had a lot of fun with this game. Something about the gameplay loop just works for me. The story setup is that a gang of space outlaws called the Wild Bastards, hey, see what they did there? Has basically been wiped out by a gang of intergalactic Pinkertons hired by a Rockefeller type named Chase. The last two surviving members are Spider Rosa and Doc Casino, who get rescued by a sentient spaceship called the Drifter that takes them aboard and sets them about with resurrecting the fallen members of the outfit. I've talked a lot about the FPS aspect of this game, but I'm neglecting to mention that it's also a board game, because whenever you land on a planet, it opens up an instance of Tabletop Simulator, and you have to move your characters from point A to point B while trying to avoid patrolling enemies so you can attack barricades and collect loot and power-ups. There's strategy involved with this, and it can get slightly intense sometimes, but for the most part it became pretty easy pretty quickly, and there didn't really seem to be a whole lot to it. Like I said, didn't play Void Bastards a whole lot, but compared to this, there was a lot more to the planet map and how you planned out your route than there is here, where you can take a kind of fire and forget approach to which planet you land on, and the path you take on the ground can be pretty easily managed. Where most of the game's most compelling moments take place, though, are the shooting sections, because this is where you can take control of one of your bastards and get into skirmishes with your pursuers. Each level is basically an arena with some amount of enemies kind of scattered about in various vantage points throughout the map. Your goal in each encounter is to make the number in the top right hand corner go down to 0, which means you have to kill each and every sentient being on the map, except if they glow bright piss yellow, then they're okay. Each bastard comes with a unique loadout that's made to accommodate a different strategy that you can use to depopulate the wild western yonder. Probably the single best quality that this game has is the sheer variety and playstyle that's offered here. There's a character for every type of engagement here. It's great. You start off with a basic dichotomy. Rosa has dual revolvers for longer ranges, and Casino has a scattergun for when you want to recreate your favorite live leak videos. As you resurrect more wayward bastards, you get different loadouts. You've got more standard loadouts like Judge, who basically fulfills the sniper role, Preach, who carries a minigun and kind of fits into the tank role. She's like a Southern Belle version of the Heavy from TF2. Then you've got some of the more out there stuff like Hopalong, who can ambush enemies with his lasso, and Kaboom, who just throws dynamite at people like some kind of fucking nut. By the end of the game, you've got a pretty neat little mercenary army that has a diverse skill set to take on pretty much anything so long as you have basic shooter skills. If I had to pick out my personal favorite characters, I'd say that it'd be Judge, since his gun was really satisfying, Billy, who has a really aggressive playstyle that I dug a whole lot, and Kaboom, who you would think is more of a long-range character since he uses explosives, but if you upgrade him right, you can turn him into essentially a melee character since he can just blow people up without taking damage, and it's great. So the gameplay looks like this. What does the story look like?
You done good, McNeil. Real good.
It gets better, trust me. Outside of the combat, there's a bit of management you have to do with your crew, since these outlaws bitch amongst themselves on a constant basis, which gives rise to a constantly changing series of feuds and friendships that you have to manage. Gunslingers that are pissed at each other won't work together, and outlaws that want to bang will give you bonuses during a gunfight. In theory, this is a cool system. However, it's kind of trivial, since any and all conflict can be resolved by sharing a can of beans, I'm serious, between two opposing factions in any given disagreement. I'm kind of split on this. On one hand, I can't really think of any other ways to do this without it being annoying, but on the other hand, it's piss easy to keep everyone on decent terms, so it wasn't really something that I ever thought much about while I was going through this game. Remaining on the subject of negatives, I have two other things about this game that I did not care for. Secondary complaint is that while the art style is great, I feel like the hitboxes for some of the enemies are a little fucked up, which can lead to some imprecision during combat that can get annoying, though it wasn't something that happened super often for me, so I could look past it. Now for something that I can't look past. The game randomly deleted my entire save. I'm serious, I started up and clicked play and the thing just insta-deleted my progress for no reason. I have no idea why this happened, but my theory is that my save file got corrupted because while I was recording, my power went out when the first showers from Hurricane Helene started coming through, but I couldn't find any way to fix it online, and Steam Cloud wasn't helpful at all, so I didn't even get a chance to finish the game. Kind of a blue ball. I guess my final verdict on this game is that I want to recommend it since I had a lot of fun with it. I love the visuals and gameplay, plus the characters are really cool, with all of them being clear homages to classic figures of the Western genre like Doc Holliday, Hopalong Cassidy, Billy the Kid, Clint Eastwood from Hang 'em High. If you're a fan of the genre, they've got a lot of shit here for you to salivate over. The reason I have trouble recommending it though is because of the name, since pretty much anyone who sees this title is going to be expecting something that's a lot like Void Bastards, which this isn't. it's loosely like Void Bastards. So if I say that I really like this game and I would give it a go if it looks interesting, people are going to get booty blasted about it in the comments. I feel like people get more upset when I like a game than when I shit on one. Fuck it, I like this game, and if this footage looks interesting, I'd give it a shot. It's a fun roguelite shooter that you can play in short sessions when you need to kill time or you're waiting on some other game to download. If you're really into it like I was, then you can sit down and sink 4 hours into it and then lose all your progress when your surge protector gets face fucked by inclement weather. Whatever, there's my first big show review. Hopefully I can get more free games from this publisher. They actually sent me a promo email about another game they're making called Enchiladas, featuring guns, glitz, and girly pop. I don't know about this one. Anyway, that was Wild Bastards. This video was more of a straight up review, so I didn't do as much fancy shit with it, and plus I've been busy as hell lately, but my next video will be something much more ambitious and along the lines of the Japan 2 video, so stay tuned for that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've gotta go petition Hollywood to start making westerns again, and also movies that are actually not crap and that you can watch. Well, that's another one off the list. My first shill video. It wasn't really a shill video, but it kind of felt like it when I was doing the editing and listening over the audio. I feel like I could have been more critical about this game, but you know, it is what it is. Video's already made, I guess. But yeah, other than that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all your YouTube outro stuff that I'm obligated to say, and I also want to thank my patrons on Patreon, Spec Teams 1 Slingshots, Zorio, the Gazer Patron, and Lev, as well as the members here on YouTube, Saiga, and Brigador24. Really appreciate y'all, and I appreciate everyone who clicked on this video and watched it, but yeah, I promise the next video will be more in line with the kind of quality jump that I feel like I took with Trepang 2. This was something that I kind of wanted to get out sort of quickly, I guess. I had a lot of stuff going on, the hurricane, you know, but yeah, other than that, I don't got anything else for this outro, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.